Welcome, everybody, back to CFB Prime, episode 5. I'm your host, the mayor, Nino Brown, and I am joined today for this 5th episode with a good friend of mine and special guest, Kevin Coleman, at the boys underscore 22 on the Twitter. Kevin, how are we doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. I'm here with the mayor. I didn't realize we got to that level. No, I appreciate you asking me to come on and talk a little bit. I need to get away from like rookie talk and NFL side. So I'm glad you asked me to talk about this, 'cause I can't do it anymore. I'm done. Give me the draft and like let me talk about some college football wide receivers for once.
Yeah, I've had enough. I got ripped apart so much with my Will Levis guy and how I'm on him and most people against him, but I'm hearing he could, sneak into the number 2 spot. Maybe, we'll see what happens, but yeah, I've had enough of the draft. I'm ready to talk these young kids coming in college football. So we're going to talk freshman wide receivers coming in this year. I think me and you might be on the same page that wide receiver 1 is Zachariah Branch out of USC, 5-star. He's ranked 1 in the class, 5'10", 175 pounds. Everything he did in these 2 bowl games that he put on display in the Polynesian Bowl and
Yeah.
the Under Armour Bowl, he was just twitched up. It was with the ease. He's like Speedy Gonzalez out there. He just weaves through traffic. He catches the ball 5 yards. He can take it to the house, and then he can burn you for 40, 50 yards downfield. He's got good body control, vision. What are your thoughts on Branch?
Yeah, biggest thing with Branch is just playmaker. Like, and to me, when I watched him, and I've watched him now for a while now, like speed, like that's going to translate very well. And the area too you look at is like, okay, how are these guys going to fit at that next level? So going to USC, he is the prototypical wide receiver in Lincoln Riley's offense. So when you're
Yeah.
looking at like what they're going to do, scheme them well, you're going to look at screens all over the place. This kid's going to be he's going to be gadgeted around to where he's going to be that guy stepping forward. And I think the good thing about Branch is he's going to be on the field early because he's going to be a punt returner. That kid's going to be everywhere because he's a playmaker and he's
Right.
elite. And I think with that now 5'10", that the one thing that would concern me is I think 5'10's a little it's a little
Budget
misnomer. I don't know, like, like it's like the dating sites. You're 5'10. Yeah, I'm 5'10. Like I think I don't know necessarily what that level is gonna be, but I mean, as far as like on the field, like dude, natural playmaker can pretty much do all that. Explosive, and he's the vertical threat. I mean, him with Caleb's gonna be fun to watch this year because I think Zachariah's gonna get out there, and so you're talking about a vertical threat that offense hasn't necessarily had. They haven't had a guy like him. Especially USC, obviously, the last 2 years, but he could separate that. I think the biggest thing when you're looking at it from like NFL perspective, whatever that's going to be the size. But again, we haven't. Well, maybe some of us have. I think the NFL has shifted away from these big wide receivers now. Like me and Nino's age back in the day, six
Yeah.
four, Quentin Johnson would have been the dude. They're like, oh
Yeah.
shit, this guy is legit, and because that's what the size was. 6'3", 6'4", you have those tools. We're drooling. Now it's like, oh, 5'9", 175, and this kid can speed and 4'4", 40 and 4'3", and in that area. Like, and I think that's one thing when you look at these guys, like he's special. Like, and you don't use that word, you don't throw that word around a lot. Like I try not to, but he's just a special athlete. And I think that on top of that, he's a good wide receiver. Like he has those intangibles, those traits. I think he's going to get a better route tree. I think that he'll fit really well in that system. So I don't think we've seen a ceiling, and that's exciting.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen a ceiling at all. I mean, he's 5'10", but he's 18, so he
Yeah.
could still be growing. He could wake up, in 2, 3 months now and be, 6 foot. You really don't know, or he could finally be 5'10" and actually make it to the number that they're putting him at. But I just now, Mike, you said he could get on the field this year, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Now, would he eat into Mario Williams' is time? Because I think that obviously, Singer's wide receiver 1 at USC. Brennan Rice kind of planted his flag the last 6 or 7 games of last year. So would he be eating into Mario Williams' reps?
Well, see, you're gonna get me canceled. So I have a hot take with this. Okay. I don't think Mario's that good. Like, I'll be honest with you. Like, I
Oh
think
man, I
I think
love it.
he's I think he's okay, but I don't think he's someone that like elevates an offense. Like, I think he's fine, but I think he was talked up a lot as a freshman where he didn't necessarily produce that much, and I don't necessarily think he's gotten better as a receiver. So I've never been a Mario guy. So I'm not. I'll be on the forefront there. I've never been someone that's like, oh, Mario, he's a transcendent wide receiver. Branch is, and this team wants to win a title. Like, let's keep this clear. Like, they were one game away. They should have won last year. They kind of choked. Caleb got injured, and I think they need Branch out there now. As far as a lot of this offense is all predicated on basically getting the ball moved around a lot. Like, it really reminds me of these offenses. They're going to spread the ball a lot. These guys all eat into their own production anyway. And so, like, as the season progresses, we've seen this in college football. If you watch a lot, they're going to get their best players the ball. And I think Zachariah is going to fall in that category of a guy that's going to be playmaking, get him there. Yeah. And like you said, I think Singer's fine. I think the key in this offense is Brendan Rice, which is crazy to say. Like, I think that, like, he is going to be one of those kids who's like, wow, he had freaking 8 catches again, 110 yards. What is Brendan Rice doing? Because, like, Brandon really elevated himself last year, like you talked about. I think they really like him, and I think that's the elevation there. But no, I think that definitely it's going to eat into all these guys. But Mario, to me, doesn't stand out to me personally as like that guy. Like, I think Zachariah is a much better prospect than him coming out, and I think he can challenge him this year as like that guy in the slot, kind of be that special weapon.
See, I love it. See, on CFB Prime, I call my show "Blow the Damn Whistle," and I was ready to blow the whistle if you were going to tell me that Mario Williams was going to, be over Branch. I'm right with you. He's not. I know he got highly recruited coming in. He had all that hype and buzz, but he just does not do it for me. I seen him kind of just disappear, the Homer Simpson meme, into the bushes last year with all the receivers we eat. And even though I forget his name, his first name's Taji. He was eating as well. So it's like, and they got the tight end coming in, right? He's a 5-star.
Yeah,
Deuce. And the backfield, those guys are gonna eat. Marshawn's there, transfer from South Carolina. It's just, I don't know. With Caleb on the move, I think Branch is way more of a weapon because he can just instantly create space.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where I would be with Branch. Like, I would say, like, he fits that well. Taj, like, yeah, you mentioned Taj Washington. I think, yeah, even Kyron Hudson, like, he's not bad either. Like, and they're moving the Relique also to wide receiver, it seems like. And so if they use him, I think for me, this is a special offense, like, in general. Like, if I don't know if Sarah think we're going to see like a high producer from this offense. Like, I think it's going to be very, very well balanced. But that running back room is loaded. Like, and Quentin Joyner's a running back who. He's coming in, and some guys don't like him. Some of the Devy circle, college football circle, they don't think he has the wiggle. I don't think he needs the freaking wiggle because that dude is just a load, and he's going to be that kind of that red zone guy with Austin Jones, Marshawn Lloyd, like you mentioned. Like, that team, this is one of the best offenses in college football, bar none. Like, and Caleb just elevates it. Yeah. There's no reason for me to think that Caleb can't win another Heisman with this offense. Like, that's just how special they can be.
Yeah, I love it. There's another gentleman I'm going to bring up a little later at USC that. He was my guy coming in before they even threw out rankings, but everybody kind of just passed him up. I think he's still got time, but we'll talk about him later. Next guy I got on the list here is Jurian Dickey from Oregon, another 5-star. My Ducks. He was number 2 in the class, 6'3", 210. Obviously, they fudged the numbers, right? But like, he's a big-bodied receiver at 18 years old. He has 78-inch wingspan, right? Like, it's kind of like a DK Metcalf, AJ Brown kind of, vibe going. 4.5 40 speed. His routes are crisp. He gets separation quickly, and he can change direction. One cut and he's gone. Obviously 6'3", uses that frame well. He's got great hands. Dude could probably catch an egg without cracking it. What are your thoughts on Dickey? I think this is a dude.
Dickey's a straight dog. Like, when you're looking at, like, and he's out here in California, so like I love my California prospects because I'm out here too. So like I got to give my love to my guys. But Dickey, who my comp is for Dickey, and I don't do comps all that much because I'm not very good at it. So take this with a grain of salt. But like every time I watch Dickey play, he reminds me of Des Bryant, like young Des Bryant. Like, he just reminds me of that ability, catch it inside, like, and just go. Like, when you watch him go, and his ability kind of like 50-50 balls are his. In traffic, he does not get bumped off his route. He's able to kind of manipulate his hips really well. He goes up and gets it. He played D. I love those D, and I love those two-way guys. I played two-way in high school. Why can't these guys do that? So he does that. I think he fits this offense really well. Like, he's going to come into this offense, and I think looking forward at this offense, I mean, I like Troy Franklin, but losing Dante Thornton, I think was a big hit, and I
Hmm.
think that Dickey can kind of I think he's going to be able to step himself into that roster and that depth chart, and I think he's going to compete. I know Chris Hudson is there. I know they got Tez Johnson, but Tez is like 5'2". So like I think Dickey can kind of be that guy. Trayshawn Holden came back, but Dickey's good. Dickey's one of those guys that I think he can make an immediate impact. But I think that if he can stay healthy, because he didn't stay healthy his senior year of high school, like if
Right.
he can stay healthy, I mean, he gives them we haven't seen a receiver. You're an Oregon fan. Like we haven't seen a receiver of this caliber and this size at Oregon in a long time. Like we're
Ugh.
used to the Troy Franklin types. We're
Yeah.
not used to the guys like this. And I think that's what elevates this offense. It's someone they need. They need that dude. They need that dog in that offense and say, we're not going to lose this game. Go throw me the damn ball. And I think
Yeah.
that's something that Oregon's missed.
He's that alpha, and I
Yeah.
think it's perfect on the side of Franklin. I think Thornton has the size. He was the same height. I think it was 6'2", 6'3", but he didn't have the width and the muscle. And Dickey's got
Yeah.
that already as a freshman, and that's why I think it's a good compliment for Franklin in this offense. Lanning's just going to use him, in the best he can.
Yeah.
Now, I think, unfortunately, with every injury, there's a positive to someone else. If Ferguson is to miss any time at the tight end position because he's that big body, Dickey's going to eat more. Those targets are going to
Yeah.
him, and it's going to be over the middle and between the numbers. You get that guy going early with Bo, and that run game. I'm hearing Wennington is super fast and put on like 7 to 8 pounds this year. Oregon's got me hyped up. I think there's a chance, but then I look down the road and I look at Washington and Penix and what they got, and that offensive coordinator. I'm a little scared. So I don't know. I think Dickey is a guy, and I think Dickey can challenge Branch for that, best in the class early on.
Yeah, I think he can. Pac-12 is loaded this year. If people don't really realize, like I think they have some of the best quarterbacks in.
Mhm.
Like every quarterback in the Pac-12 is legit. Like there is not one where you're like, like everybody's kind of taking that next step. Oregon too is in there. Like it's gonna be a bloodbath. Pac-12 is usually a bloodbath, but now it's like, hey, who can elevate themselves? But Dickey is one of those guys that probably can make an impact. Now I really do like. I might be the only guy that likes this. I really like Kyler Casper. Like I think Kyler
Yes.
Casper he developed last year, and there's been reports that he's been crushing it, like in terms of like, hey, got in the weight room and spring and stuff like that. Like they are loaded at that position to where like they have dudes everywhere. They have Dickey with his mold, Trayshawn Holden if he can get his head out of his butt, Troy Franklin,
Yeah.
Hudson, like all those guys. This offense and Bo was great last year. Bo Nix was great. Like so when you're looking at it, I think he can be an impact player in an offense that's out there, and you're always looking for that. You don't want your freshman. So like when you look at this, you don't want to be a wide receiver zero. You don't want him not to produce, and
Mhm.
because that tendency does not work very well at the next level. Dickey's one of those guys that can come in and step up, and I think he's right there. If Holden misses some time or whatever happens, I think he could be the Z in this offense. Like he could step in and just go do it. And I think like you mentioned with the tight end, like he gives him a lot of flexibility.
Yeah, I'm actually doing an interview a little later after we finish with a guy who's going to be in Oregon. He's a recruit coming out, Terrell Bradshaw Jr. He's a 3-star recruit, and he'll be in Oregon soon. And he's like
Yeah.
that, like speedy dude. You take the top off the ball. I think he's a guy that Oregon, that they might be able to snatch him up and be a compliment for them going forward. We talked about Pac-12. Before we get these wide receivers, I'm just throwing this out there because we talked about USC being ready to go. They just got Bear Alexander right from Georgia in the transfer. But makes no mistake about it. I mean, Oregon got Mateo, and he's a dude. I know he's young,
Yeah.
but he's a 5-star, and he's going to get in there and eat right off the rip. So it seems as though, as the Pac-12, the rumors are it's going to be dismantled soon. They're starting to make steps, and they know that they got to fix this defensive side of the ball, and they can't just chuck the rock the whole time. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah. No, I think you're right. This is the last hurrah for the Pac-12. Let's be honest. USC, UCLA going, like how that's going to look in terms of what Oregon and these guys are going. But I think Oregon, Oregon's been a frustrating program because I think they've had national championship teams, and Cristobal. I'm never gonna be a Cristobal guy. I'm just not. I think he's a great recruiter, overrated coach. He's like great recruiter, can get guys there, and just overrated in terms of like in-game management. I will say I like Dan Lanning. However, he struggled last year. That Washington game was bad. Like he did
Yeah.
not. They did
Oregon
not
State
do.
game too, man. Like 4
Yes.
passes, 6 completed passes, and you couldn't win. I said many a times they didn't use Noah Sewell right at all
No.
until like the last 4 games of the year. Like, why is he in coverage? He's not a very good coverage rated linebacker. But when you started giving pressure, he started knocking the ball down, moving quarterback out of the pocket, and turnovers started happening. it also didn't help that, on that defensive side, Flo and, DJ were terrible in
Yeah.
coverage as well.
But that's why, like, to me, just to be break wrap around and back to your question, like with the coaching stuff, like that's why Kyle Whittingham from Utah does so well, because I think he's the best, like coach wise. Like he
Yeah.
just knows how to get the best out of his guys. So when it comes down to it, I think this conference is so close in terms of like they got to get that defensive side shored up. I think USC's done an incredible job getting their defense and offensive line shored up. Like they knew that was a point. They got like 7 linebackers in the portal too. Like they knew they had to go attack that. So, like, to me, what makes the difference for USC and everybody else in this conference is that they've kind of shored up some of that stuff. They have a good coaching staff, and they have Caleb freaking Williams. And Caleb Williams is that guy. So I think that elevates it. But anybody can win in this conference. Like, I don't think it's like, oh, clear and above. Because if Caleb Williams has a bad game, I don't know if they can overcome that. But I think it's Oregon right there. Washington, they're getting a little overrated in my opinion. I think that they have some defensive liabilities out there. And Penix Jr. had a good year, but towards the down the stretch, you saw the old junior, like the one that got to struggle a little bit at Indiana. And he stayed healthy, but that's not a guarantee with him. Bo had a great year. Let's hope
he got hurt. The only reason why they weren't in the championship, I think, or in the college football playoff is because he got hurt. If he didn't get hurt, they would have been there.
In my opinion, it's Oregon, USC. I think those are the two top. Now, I think that the conference as a whole is really deep, like all throughout. Like I think it's very deep. But I think it's Oregon or USC. I really think those are the two programs right now that are like up there.
So I'm an Oregon guy, you know that, and I'm a little worried about Washington for the simple fact that the development and growth of the receivers from the beginning of last year to the end, right? Obviously, Penix did kind of fizzle, but they're bringing in Dylan Johnson at the running back position. And the man averages like 50 receptions out of the backfield. That is going to give Penix an enormous amount of time. And if they do get to him, he can just dump it to a guy who can make plays. That scares me. They do lose guys on the defensive line. I know they lost 2 in the transfer portal, right? So that's like big. But they have, isn't Braylon Trice back? I think he came back. He came back. He didn't go in the draft.
Back.
So
and
Fatui, he's back too. So they're both on the line together. That is going to wreak havoc for QBs.
Yeah.
I'm nervous if
Penix
stays on that road, like the way they started out, they were hot fire. I was super nervous, and they beat the Ducks, and that was the game I thought we could have won. I give it's not so much the head coach for me. It's the OC. And I think the OC is not getting enough credit. I think that dude is a genius. And what he comes up with and how Romeo was not utilized anything like that his first year. The way they put Romeo out there, Oduzze, and were able to spot him and put him in different packages was unique. And he ate.
Yeah. No, he did. I mean, and DeBoer's a good job. Like he was out here at Fresno State, and I watched him kind of create that. I have Fresno State season tickets, so I would watch him create that offense, and it does fit. I like Jalen Polk probably more than others. Like I like Jalen McMillan. Rome's getting a lot of love out there. I will say Dylan Johnson, he can catch passes. I don't know how much his offense predicates it. I will tell you the guy that I like in that backfield is Ncaa from Arizona State. He kind of got a crappy run last year at Arizona State, not so much like that program is a dumpster fire. So getting him in there and having him ability, like I think that he steps up. I think he can be really good for this offense as well. No, you're right. They are loaded. I think my hesitation with them is I don't know about Michael, and I don't know how well he'll can he stay healthy, and will he not make some of those mistakes? The UCLA game last year kind of stands out to my mind. Like some of the games that they had where I'm like, man, I see this old kind of Penix Jr. where they kind of, where does that come? And if you can't have a clunker, and I feel like they had a couple clunkers last year where I feel in this, you have to be there every day. And I feel like Oregon USC, to me, I think they're ready to step up and be that team.
I love it. That was some fire content right there. I love that. All right. Now, next for me, and it may be because of everything I've seen lately. I know a lot of people are going to have the Ohio State gentleman ranked a little higher, but I got Jonte Cook the second as my third receiver. I know he's somewhere in most boards, somewhere between 3 and 7, but he's another 5-star. He's 6 foot, 185 pounds. I mean, if you just watched anything in that game, the way he works, the way he can track the ball, control his body, worked on the sideline, he wasn't expected to be involved as often and early, but he was definitely involved, and he definitely dominated. What are your thoughts on Cook? Because I think he can eat in the system, especially if Murphy's going to be getting a little more reps.
So So like with Cook, I think he's my wide receiver 4, so I have him a little higher, just like you.
Okay.
He's in that category for me. The thing that first stands out to me just about him as a receiver, his yak ability, like he's dangerous. So like when you're talking about what he's going to be doing in the open field, and I think he fits Quinn very well. Like I think that those two guys, and I think Cook can get out in that field. Brandon Thompson transferring apparently to Oklahoma. And you have some other areas where you're like, hey, where are these guys going? I think it opened it up for him a little bit. And I love him in this offense. Like, I like Xavier Worthy and I like Adonai Mitchell, but I think Cooks can fit right in there in that age. Like, I think that, he'll battle Jordan Whittington.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's there. And Isaiah Neyor, to me, like, he's coming off that injury, so I don't know how ready he's going to be. I think Cook steps in, and Sark needs to win this year. Let's
Yeah.
keep that on the forefront. He can't they're going to get these guys out there. And I think Cook gives them that, like, really good. And I think this thing that stood out to me about Cook when I was watching his tape and diving into it is going through his ball tracking ability. Like, he has a very good catch radius and ball tracking ability, and he doesn't drop a lot of passes. This kid goes up when he's
Oh, yeah.
when he's not in contested catch situations. I do think from like a areas of struggle for him, and it's things that we didn't see. I think that contested catch thing with his strength is something he's got to get up, and I don't necessarily know if he's going to be able to. I know he's an early enrollee, so that's good. So he's there,
Right.
he's going to get in that weight room, and I think he's going to have that. So for me, it's like, okay, he has that yak playmaking speed. Can he do those other things? Can he get some size, a little bit more strength? He's a big kid, but just get that strength, get that press coverage, contested catch stuff up. If he does that, he's the package. Like,
Right.
we're talking about Jonathan Cook being a package. Hey, this is an NFL kid. Round one, I think he could get there. And I love him in this offense. I think he complements these guys. And Texas doesn't have a guy like him, really. Like, when you're looking at just, Mitchell's more. I don't know what Mitchell is, to be honest. Like,
Deep
Georgia
threat,
did such a
right? I call him Mr. TD. He just pretty much scores the same TD in the right corner of the end zone on passes from Stetson Bennett. Like, that's what he's known for. And then he disappears for
pretty
a little bit,
much.
comes back.
Pretty much, yeah. And then Xavier, he struggled with the shoulder thing last year, and I hope
Which
he's
I
healthy.
didn't
But
know. Did you know about
yeah,
that?
yeah, a little bit. Like, he just had that. I think a lot of that was the shoulder. I think that was there, like, because Xavier, his footwork, like, his ability to make guys that
Yeah.
just look stupid on the field, like, he has that, and I think he can catch well. He struggled catching last year. I'm hoping in the shoulder, but Jonathan gives him that extra
Mhm.
area, that burst. Plus, he can go over the middle. He can do all those things. So, like,
Exactly.
he complements his offense well. Yeah, but I'm a big fan. I think he can step up. I think Quinn is there, and then if Arch is going to be that guy stepping forward, and after this year, he needs Cook. They're going to need him to really kind of be there, and DeAndre Moore is there as well. But I think Cook's special. I like Cook. I like everything about Cook.
You mentioned Arch. I'm not gonna go there. I already went there once today with a few people on the Angry Blue Bird. But I think, like you said, he is a complement to what they don't have in that system, right? So 80's a top off the ball, probably going to be a deep threat playmaker for big chunks of yards or a
Yeah,
touchdown. Worthy, if he's healthy, he's that quick feet. Work the sideline, work the outs, comeback routes. Cook can be the alpha over the middle, and he can
he
eat
can.
everything. He's not afraid to. He also can cut back, and work the sideline as well. They got the big tight end who can, also kind of shadow him and disguise him in
Yeah.
packages. So it'll be interesting. I mean, Quinn has no choice but to perform, right? There's heat on
No.
his back with Murphy, and then obviously whether he's ready or not, there's always going to be that hype and that pressure because of the pedigree. Arch too. Um, it's I like Cook a lot. I think his opportunity, his style of play, is why I got him a little bit higher than the gentleman from Ohio State. We're gonna talk about those guys right now. Now, I'm gonna blow the whistle. Shh. I'm Brandon Innes, and it's not because to be fair, he can't be there, right? He can't enroll early due to where he's at, where he attends school and stuff, so he can't
Yeah.
be an early enrollee. But you're losing time, man. Connell Tate already got the black stripe taken off. He looks like he's already got a rapport with Kyle McCord in that spring game. He don't look like a freshman receiver to me. The way he, off the line, his footwork, how he's another guy that can just put one foot in the ground and make a move, and he's instant separation. Uh, what are your thoughts on Tate before we talk about Brandon a little bit?
Yeah, so I'm gonna get canceled a little bit. I wasn't as high on Tate coming into like the spring games, and so he's still in my top 7, but like I didn't have him in my top 5, and I know people are gonna think that's crazy. Maybe I should revisit that right now. I think you know it's one of those things, because I've been burned by the spring games before. IJ Hall, like you get burned by some of these kids that do really well in the spring game. And then you're like, oh, so like I've been very timid about moving him up too high right now because I'm like, okay, this is where I had him like pre-spring. Let me just go through the process here. But everything you hear, he's crushing it, right? And then I think one of those things too is like if he's at Ohio State and he's doing it, you have to kind of take notice because Ohio State just produces first round wide receivers. It doesn't matter unless your name is Julian Fleming, then you're not getting drafted first round. But everybody else, like you
Ooh.
guys, you guys, you guys crush it. Like you got, you do that. So the thing with Tate, I think ball skills, number one, yards after catch. Like those are the things that this kid can do that. And if he can be that burner and give them that off, I mean, we're talking another 5-star kid, right? Route running hands, steps in, and then you're looking and projecting moving forward. Like, what is he? Probably takes over the X in that role over Marvin after next year. Like, okay, Marvin's gonna leave. All right, here's Carnell Tate. I think that's what you're looking at with Tate.
Oh, that you mentioned Fleming, but for some reason, I've been reading. I saw a little bit of it in the spring game, and not many people talking about it. But you don't like Ballard at all? I feel like he's a dude, and I really think that him and Tate are gonna fight for reps this year.
I like Ballard. I think Ballard's right there. Like, I think I'd play Ballard over Fleming, in my honest opinion.
100%. Yeah.
Like I would be in there and give Ballard a run at Z and try to get him in there and try to like see how we can elevate that offense. I like all those guys. It's just they have such a rich, like they just have so many guys. Congrays, Caleb Brown. There's some of these guys had to hit the portal at some point. So it wouldn't surprise me in a week we're talking about, oh, they hit the portal. But I think Ballard's going to be right there. I think they're going to compete. I would really like. I think Marvin and Mecca is your wide receiver 1, 2, and then I think Fleming, Ballard, and Tate will all kind of take different roles in this offense. And to be honest, like Emeka, his freshman year, I think he got what, like 1 catch or 4. Like he was like 1 or 2 catches. Didn't do nothing.
Less than 5. I know that.
Yeah. And he did not really produce. And then all of a sudden he popped off last year and we all kind of expected it. But I think with Tate, it's going to be a little harder for him to get on the field unless they scheme him open. And if they start scheming him, then we can start saying, okay, he's that dude. But Jaden's right there. I like Jaden come out. I thought Jaden was very good and he's been in that system for a few years. So you're looking forward. I mean, it's really just pick your poison with the wide receiver room in Ohio State. Like it's just they're 5 stars everywhere, and you just have to say, hey, how are they going to get the ball? I think the real question is Kyle McCord, and because I'm a Devin Brown. I'm a Devin Brown guy. So like
he's my dude. McCord's my guy.
So I think with McCord,
Let's go.
I think with McCord, he offers a very, very high floor. Like I think he's that guy. Like, okay, hey, this is what you're gonna do, play within the system, not gonna make too many mistakes. I think he played a little timid in the spring game. I think that there were some throws that he wished he could get back. He's got to get some experience there. I just come from it like I think, part of the problem is Devin Brown switches number to 33. I don't know who the hell does that. I don't know who was talking to Devin Brown and saying like you're gonna
it's
do that.
got something to do with something back home and somebody.
I know,
but I never seen a cute. I said it before. KT will be my witness. Kevin, nobody goes to the show wearing 33.
Kills me unless you're playing like NCAA 2K or NCAA 14 and you create a player. But no, I think Devin to me is that ceiling play. I really like his athleticism and all that, but I think Devin makes too many throws that Day doesn't like. So there's a reason why Devin's not going to win that job. McCord is there, but can McCord elevate these guys to have elite level production, all 3 or 4 of them? And I think to me, and I have a bet with a college football analyst. They're like, how many yards is like Ohio State going to average on the ground this year? And I think it's over 220 a game. Like, because I do really think they're going to lean on Mayan Williams, Travion Henderson, even Chip. I think Chip's a legitimate back. I don't know what the hell they're doing at linebacker. Now that he's there. Down Hayden, some of these other guys. Like, I really think Ohio State's really going to lean on that rushing attack a lot this year. So then that's where's that production go at the wide receiver room with McCord. Now, I think he'll get more comfortable. And by the time they play like Michigan, you're going to see more of that traditional Ohio State kind of spread offense that we like. 4 verticals, Ryan Day special. Like, that's kind of what we're going to see. But I think McCord he's got to step up too. I think there's a lot of question marks and a lot of things about the quarterback positions all over, the landscape of college football. McCord's got dudes, so it'll be a little easier for him.
Yeah, 100%. And he's got dudes. And I will say there were a few throws in the first half of that spring game. He dialed it in after there was I think it was like the 3rd missed throw, and then he started dialing it in. The throw to Tate was on the money. He had a few throws that I think there was one on the left side down on the sideline that he hit right over the shoulder. That was a good pass as well. he's got the ace in the hole, right? Like he went to prep school with Marvin Harrison.
Yeah,
He knows
yeah.
him before he can put the ball where Harrison doesn't even like make a move to the
Oh, it's
break,
his
and then it's
job.
there.
It's his
Yeah,
job. 100%. It's his job. No, 100%.
I got McCord. I think McCord. Once he starts getting the reps and we come to fall ball, I think it's going to be a different story. The QB, him breaking his finger didn't help um, Brown at all.
No.
This might have maybe able to keep the battle go a little longer, but I think McCord's the dude. I think a lot of people that are knocking him, they're going to be like, okay, I was off a little bit on him, and he's going to be up there when it comes time for the end of the year and where they rank him in this class.
Yeah.
We talked about Ennis a little bit. Not, he's not there, but there's another elephant in the room that like we're not talking about. And that's Noah Rogers, right? He's a 4-star guy. He's 6'2", almost 200 pounds. He's got speed 4.5 40. He's had 60 plus receptions almost every single season in high school. Like the kid gets it done. He's got good body control. He's a physical dude. Like this is one of the things
Yeah.
outside of Harrison. There ain't many really physical guys online. He will bop you right off the line and create space. So, what are your thoughts on Noah Rogers a little bit?
Well, I'm a little pissed because I'm a Michigan fan. So like the one nice thing that Michigan's had over Ohio State is physicality. Like
Mhm.
they've had that. Well, freaking Ohio State went out and got a couple guys. Ennis is physical. This
Yeah.
dude's gonna get you. Noah is physical. Like, and you watch his tape, he loves making plays in traffic. Like this
Yeah.
kid, and he almost seeks out. Noah almost seeks out. Like, Gil, give me a dude that hits me because I want
Mhm.
to show him that I'm the guy. I'm this in here. And he averaged 20 yards in high school, like per reception. And he had especially this last year had 22 touchdowns. Like, and he had a verified 4.5 sub 40. So
Yep.
you're looking at this kid, he is just special. Like, I think these three guys have a potential. Noah, Brandon, and Tate have a potential of being the three best wide receiver duo. Like as far as the triplets, excuse me, go like here. These guys could step up, and we're talking about these dudes as juniors, like all being maybe first round talents. That's how special these three wide receivers are. So, like, when you're looking at it from that line, that's scary to think about when you're looking at like how good this offense can be. And I think, like we've been mentioning, I think his ability to secure the catch and do those things are different than like what they have on that roster right now. Like Noah, I think Noah, Tate, and Ennis are probably top. These guys are all top 5 with Ballard right there. Like they would start anywhere else. These
Yeah,
three got
100%.
Noah Rogers would go anywhere in the country and just be immediate wide receiver one
Alabama
overall.
would salivate to have
Oh
Noah
yeah.
Rogers. Salivate. He would instantly be wide receiver 1 off the rip.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And make
Like
no mistake, Alabama struggled recruiting the wide receiver position solely because of Ohio State. Like these dudes usually
Hartline is
went
a
to
dude.
yeah. Usually they went to Alabama. They'd get 2 of these guys. Like 2 of
Yes.
these dudes would be at Alabama.
Mhm.
Tate, Ballard, one of these, someone out there would be at. They're not getting that anymore. And now
Mhm.
Ohio State is, and it's a rich of resources. But no, Noah is I think he's getting forgotten about a little bit. Like these guys are going to step up. Noah is that 50-50 go get it guy. Like, and I think that's going to be the difference. Like these are when we're looking at Ohio State and how they're recruiting and doing those things, like these are the guys that make the difference in a program. Like
Yeah.
if you want to turn around a program, you got to get guys like Ennis and Rogers, guys out there that have that physicality. Now, don't yell at me, Ohio State fans. I know you guys are, I'm not saying turn around. You almost beat Georgia last year in the playoff. But I mean, like, if you want to win and you're realistically, you're competing against Michigan right now. They beat you twice. Like, and it wasn't just like they beat you. They beat you down, like,
Yeah.
and physicality wise. So like you're gonna have to switch that. And I think they've done a good job with that. And I think both those guys are special. Like they're very good players. And you just look at the tape and you're just like, damn, these guys are good.
That felt good to say, huh? It felt good to
Yeah,
say that they beat you guys, beat them down physically. I know it's been a while, and you.
it's been a while.
I'm gonna KT get ready to clip this one because this is gonna be. I can't wait for this answer. I'm gonna go with coming in as prospects: Tate, Ennis, Rogers, JSN, Wilson, Olave. Which 3 are you taking? Oh,
Ooh,
coming in, not what they've
coming
done.
in.
Coming in.
Okay.
What trio you taking?
Okay, so for me personally, Olave no, because Olave didn't really come in as a prospect that was like one of those guys coming for it. JSN for sure for me, because for me JSN has always been one of my top guys in
Yes.
Garrett. So I'm going to take both those guys because Garrett and JSN to me are 2 guys that I've been high on for a long time. And then I I it's so I hate Ohio State, man. It's such a pain in the ass. I
We
would
didn't even we
say
didn't even say Harrison,
I know, I
Egmuka,
know.
or Ballard. You know what I mean? Like,
I put those two, and I'm gonna put Tate in there. I think that the noise is real. I think Ennis needs to develop probably the most as like a receiver. I think he's a
mhm.
player. I think he's a football player, but I think Ennis needs to definitely. That's why he went to Ohio State. Hartline's gonna get him in line, and he
Yes.
kind of get him there. I think Tate as a prospect is better than those two. So I'd say Wilson, JSN, and Tate. They're right there.
All right, I love that. I might clip that and put that back out on Twitter. That's hot
Oh,
stuff
great.
right there.
Here we go. Here we go. I'm gonna get Ohio State fans yelling mad at me.
All right. I got two guys left, and I know I asked you to find me a guy that you're in on that most people aren't talking about. We'll get to him before we close it out. This is the guy I was talking about before that I loved. I loved his tape before they started ranking these guys. And then he went to USC, and I'm like, all right, he's gonna do it. And then Branch committed, and I was like, oh. Because Malachi and Malachi both went together, right? They both committed around the same time, Lemon
Yeah.
and Branch, and then Branch committed, Zachariah committed, and I was like, okay, well, there goes my guy's time. He's gonna have to sit here. But that's Malachi Lemon. I think, dude, he's got it. I call him liquid. He's just fluid in all his route running, in and out of breaks. Like there's no slowdown. There's no hitch. The way he moves on the field
Yeah.
and his feet, it's just incredible to me. What are your thoughts on Lemon?
So Lemon's my wide receiver 3, actually. So I'm pretty high on Lemon. Like
I'm not
I
crazy.
no, you're not. And he's another dual threat kid. He play corner, but I think he's going to
Mhm.
transition to wide receiver really well. So like I have him right behind Dickey in terms of my rankings. But like
Yes.
the thing that stands out to me about Lemon, playmaking, like playmaking all day, especially there. He has a connection with Malachi, so he plays with him. So he's gonna have
Right.
that connection moving forward. Catch radius, like his
Everywhere.
ability to manipulate his body,
Like this.
man.
Like this.
It,
Yeah, it's
it
insane.
it hurts me, like, as an old man now,
Oh,
like,
I'd be done.
watching
I'd be laid up.
yeah, watching him be able to manipulate his body in the sidelines and get his feet in and, like, do those little things, and for someone that didn't solely focus on the receiving position in high school, that excites me because, when we think of it, like, the way I look at these prospects, because it's really hard, like, when you're going through prospects like this, people say it's easy, it's not easy. The people that say it's easy, like, look at these guys, they go to 247, they see the top 10 and say, "Oh, those are my guys." Like, that's what most do, and then so then, like, when I'm looking at, like, projection moving forward, okay, how good can this kid be? To me, it's like that old analogy, like you take two guys that run the first base. If they run there and they get there at the same time, but one does it with poor form and one does it with perfect form, you're going to take the guy with poor form because you can train that kid to run in perfect form. He's going to get there faster.
Yes.
To me, Lemon makes sense in this area. Like, I don't think he's been solely focused on wide receiver. I think that he's going to be able to develop into a better wide receiver, and he's already a top 5 playmaker of the class. So when you're projecting moving forward, if he can already catch, this kid can catch everything, and not all receivers can catch. You can see these things, like some of these guys come out and you're like, oh, playmaker, no, but his hands are suspect. To me, his hands are there, his playmaking is there. I think that for one, his play strength's got to get a little bit better. Like, he's going to kind of develop that. I could see him. I don't know how much he's going to get on the field this year. They're pretty loaded at the position. And I think maybe he'll get there. He might be that 4-game redshirt kind of prospect. I'm not sure
Yeah.
yet where that's going to look at. But this kid he can be, if they develop him, he's that special 6', 180 kind of that frame, but get us in the wide receiver frame. And then we're talking a special athlete at USC. And then it's going to come down to now where USC and Ohio State are battling for those wide receivers now. And then you're talking about, like, that's the battle that you're watching every year. And Lemon can be that kid. And he's special.
Lemon, Branch, Deuce, Malachi going
Mm-hmm.
forward. Whew, man,
Yeah.
I don't know if Riley will be there long enough. But Cliff might take over in the end, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, they are loaded. I love Lemon. I think he is like he just oozes playmaking ability. Like you said, like his catch rate, he can catch anything. He can catch a golf ball, catch a beach ball. It don't matter. He's gonna
Yeah.
catch it. The last guy I got here, it's going out in Lincoln, Nebraska, and that's Malachi Coleman. He's a 4-star, 6'4", 190. I mean, you want to talk big playability, 33 yards per catch, right? He played both sides of the ball. I think he was a defensive end in high school, and he's a wide receiver. Um, I think in rule system, this guy could just come out guns blazing and be a dude. They got a couple guys. in Nebraska, and I don't know who's going to be the quarterback. Whether it's going to be Sims or it's going to be Thompson. I know Thompson's still kind of recovering from the injury, but what are your thoughts on Coleman?
Yeah, so you're gonna be mad at me. I like Coleman. He's not in my top 5 though. Like, I think part of me, like, I do like. I know he was ranked pretty high. He's got that system in terms of like tall, lengthy, can kind of get. He has good athleticism. I think for me, like when you're watching him play, he really needs to get some mass. Like he's got to get some strength. Like he's really got to put that on. And so if he can do that, so when he does that, and I think he can maybe get that build. The issue with me is like, can he with his build, can he add the mass that he needs? And I think that's can he win those? To me, he's winning a lot of matches based on his athleticism right now, which is
Yes.
good in high school. You can do that. You can do that in high school.
Mhm.
You should do that in high school. Let me make that clear. Like if you're going to be a prop prospect, you're going to go do that. So to me, is like I think he has a hell of a ceiling. Like you're looking at this kid is special athletic perspective, but I think he needs some time to develop.
Mhm.
Which Rule's going to do because I don't think he's necessarily needs him to go right away. Like I don't
Right.
think Malachi's not a guy that's going to be like, yeah, we need this guy right now. I think moving forward, he's one of those guys that is going to develop in that system. And Rules, I think Rule's a great coach in college. Like he's a legitimate
Stays in his
league in
lane.
there.
Yeah.
And the thing about Rule is he has a system. So I forget it was an article I read. I think it's an athletic. His recruiting system is he goes looks for dudes like this, like diamonds in the rough that he can develop, and he has a track record of doing it. So if you're betting on Malachi, that's not a bad bet to make because his coaching staff historically recruiting wise has found guys like Coleman and really developed them. So like yeah, I think he has the athleticism tools. He's got some development to do out there. I think he's that multi-sport kid, like we mentioned. I think he's played on both sides. He does all those things pretty well. When he's in the open field, he gets back and he's by you. Like you're not catching him one-on-one open field. You're not doing that. It's just he's got to develop to get to that point.
Yeah. So at 6'3", 6'4", whatever it may be, 190 is a little small. I mean, I would like to see him
Yeah.
at 205, right? That would be a good weight for him to still be speedy. Like you said though, you get him in the open field, good luck. So I
Yeah.
don't know if they might package him this year. You get him in the open field though with Jeff Sims' mobility. Who knows? I mean, there could be packages developed for him, and he could shine this year. I don't think it'll be early. I think if they do use him, it would be mid-season and later on when, like you said, he's got more. He's going to need to get a bigger frame. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
The Big Ten football, you can't be little like that at that size. He's not little in height. He's just little in stature. So, all right,
Yeah.
Kevin. Before you give me that guy, give me your top 5.
So yeah, my top 5 right now is let me get into it, man. You caught me off guard. So Zachariah Branch is my number 1. So like you and me are on the same page there in terms of like who we're looking at there. My 2 is Dickey. So Dickey is right now to me because of the Des Bryant
Yeah.
comp that I have for him. Dickey's there. Lemons 3. For 4 for me is Jonte Cook. So he's there. And then I have a guy we didn't talk about, Hakeem Williams, going to Florida
Okay.
State. I have him at 5. So, but kind of like Coleman, needs to develop. I think he's going to redshirt a little bit and Florida State and do that. So, but Hakeem is my number 5.
All right, I like it. I think you pair him with Johnny Wilson and Micah Pittman with Jordan Travis. Jordan Travis' development over the last
Yeah.
year is just incredible. Uh, I I like Coleman a lot, and like I said, I think in the system he with rules track record of developing receivers. I think he can do well. There's a guy I spoke off camera to my partner KT that like I said something about a AJ Brown, DK Metcalf type build. And he's going to that same school at Ole Miss, and that's Aiden Williams, 6'3",
Mm-hmm.
195. He's a physical guy. He's a big, dominated the 50-50 ball in the contested catch. Lane Kiffin, you know, needs a guy like that. I don't know if it's going to be Sanders or good old Jackson Dot this year at the QB1 position, but I know he's a curveball. But what are your thoughts on Williams?
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Well, first, Ole Miss, shout out my guy Chris Marshall. I think he's going to have a
Yes,
great year.
yeah, he looks
I
good.
think
He looks real good.
Yeah, get out of freaking A&M, man. No one go to A&M. If you're a skill player on the
Evan
outside,
Stewart,
besides Evan
please.
Stewart, besides
Don't
Evan Stewart.
yeah, but if Evan Stewart went, like, just think about how good Evan Stewart would be somewhere else.
I wish. I know. Evan Stewart, my guy. I know. To me, like when I'm looking at Aiden, yeah, no, I think he sits that weird needs to put on weight too. Like he's probably got to get to the 200 mark, and if he
Yes.
does, great. I think he's a very natural guy. Like he very smooth. Like when you're watching his tape and going through Aiden's like tape, very smooth. And I like the system that he got to. And I think that, going forward, like when you're projecting like how these guys are going to do at the next level, like, okay, what can we expect from going forward? I like Walker Howard. Like, I think Walker Howard can be that guy moving forward with him and being in that quarterback room. I like him in that system and he can elevate him. Like, no, I think that he's definitely a guy that Strider going to develop a little bit. And I think he's a good pick.
All right, that's good. I'm not crazy. When I get confirmed from you, and that I'm not crazy, and that like I got told that Lemon wasn't even in the same class as some of these guys, and for
No,
a
no,
guy like
no.
you out on the West Coast to get to see it a little more, like he's a dude, and Williams is another guy I think that people aren't talking about. I know he's late. He's probably ranked, I don't know, late teens, early 20s, and
Probably.
that 24/7. So people are like, yeah, he's on the top 10. I don't even want to look at him. I mean, Coleman's not even ranked in the top 10 at 24/7 either. But I think these are guys that may not be year one dominant, like the guys you spoke about early in the episode. But these are guys that may want to look out. Devy, you're a Devy guy. Devy drafts. These guys late in rounds you're looking for. These
Yeah.
guys are scoops. Kevin, I appreciate you coming on. I know you had a long day. You teacher, you deal with a lot of different personalities and age groups, right? But tell the people that are watching the show where they can find you and what you got going on.
Do you want my sleeper or no? You
Oh, I'm
gonna
sorry. I'm so. Oh my goodness. I
I was
apologize.
all
Yes.
prepared for the sleeper,
Yeah. Give me a
then
sleeper. Give me a
re-
sleeper.
real quick, Eugene Wilson, Florida kid. I know he's small, and I know that he's one of those guys that may be like moving forward. But Florida doesn't have wide receivers. Everybody they don't got it. Xavier Henderson just
They
entered the
just left.
portal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like Eugene Wilson is a kid. Not a lot of people were on because he was listed as an athlete. But I have a trick for you guys. If you're in like a college football league, or if you want to look at this, don't necessarily like look at the athletes, but go in and see who they're getting recruited by. And most are getting recruited by their wide receiver coach. And if you go in there, you can differentiate between what athletes can be wide receiver and what athletes aren't. And that's a good way of like actually picking up on like if you're in some drafts or if you're in some of that stuff. Eugene Wilson was an athlete, but the wide receiver coach of Florida was recruiting him. So we knew kind of going forward that like, hey, he could be a wide receiver in that system. I know he's small, but this kid is just separates and he's having a hell of a camp. Like elite change of direction, route running, kind of reminds me of like kind of Xavier Worthy's footwork. Really good, really small. I know that some people have comped him like Chris Olave and those type of things because it was one of those where he popped off later. Like he was really a low recruit, and then the senior year he kind of popped off there. But he averaged 109 receiving yards last year and almost 2 touchdowns a game. A game. So this kid is explosive and someone they need at Florida for that explosiveness. And I think when you're looking at it moving forward, they need people. So he's going to get opportunity. So if they get opportunity, that's what you're looking at. But that's my sleeper. Just want to throw it out there for you guys that are out there.
I apologize for almost cutting you off there. But hey, listen, I'm with it because I don't know who's going to throw him the ball, right? But
Yeah.
he reminds me of a guy who was there at Florida a few years ago who has been battling health issues in the NFL. But Kadarius Toney, right? Like super fast, speedy guy, gets off the line separation. Is Wilson kind of similar to Toney?
Yeah, a little bit. I would say Wilson's a better athlete.
Okay.
Like I think he's a better receiver. Like I think like Toney was a dude that can come out there and run and he kind of had that. I think Wilson's more refined. I think Wilson can be that guy that comes in and be as a slot guy. And I think Wilson has that projection. I don't know how Toney got the draft apple that he got. I'll be honest. I'll be the first one to admit. That was one of those things. But I think Wilson, he projects a little bit more in that he's more of explosive. So I would love to see what he could do.
I love it. All right, Kevin. Tell the people at home where they can find you and what you got going on.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at @DuBois_22. I'm trying to stay off of that app though, because it's toxic. So like in reality, if you like college football, we have our own Patreon where we created the Devy Manifesto, College Football Manifesto. So we break down every Power 5 depth chart. We do a player battle for each one. We have a Discord. We have our rankings. We have all that. And that's at the Devy Royale. As far as like fantasy work, I work for Football Guys. I do a weekly video. I do some articles. We have a rookie guide for your fantasy drafts coming out. We did 150 player profiles for the last 2 editions. And then the 3rd edition will be out next week, right after the draft with instant takes of everything that we watch. team fit, scheme fit, and all of that. That is out. Literally going to be out the Tuesday of next week after the draft. So if you're interested in fantasy, that's something to look into at Football Guys.
Listen, I respect the hell out of his work and all the guys over at the Devy Royale, Jeff and Christian as well. That A1 in this community, and you can always reach out to them, and they're always willing to help. So once again, Kevin, I appreciate you coming on. I know you had a long day. This is episode 5. We're closing the doors on CFB Prime. Shh, blow the damn whistle.